Hello everybody! Today we're going to be doing a comparison of two very loved Spyderco models. So, let's get to it. What's going on, guys? Thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the last couple of videos. Today we've got something new for the channel, is a little bit of a comparison video here. So I've got two models that are very popular in the Spyderco community, I believe. The Para 3 and the Native 5 Lightweight. Now, I know probably a better comparison would be do like a Para 3 Lightweight with the Native Lightweight, but I don't have a Para 3 Lightweight, so we're going to go with this for now. Yeah, so let's just get right into it. These are two knives of pretty similar size, as you can see. I have this is the Sprint Run S45 version of the Para 3 and the exclusive Teal S90V version of the Native, provided to me by Stafford's EDC on Instagram. He sold this to me for a very good price, so be sure to check him out. I'll link him below. But yeah, so let's get right into it. We're going to start off by comparing the blades on both of these knives. So while these two are both exclusives, the overall shape and functionality of both knives is the exact same on all models, even though they come in different steels. So you can see the blades are essentially the same overall length, and they have similar cutting, cutting edge length, but I think the Para 3 takes that by just a hair. Might be hard to see from the angle, but I think the Para 3 has a slightly longer cutting edge. The Para 3 comes to a straight point, whereas the Native has more of a drop point, and it's got this nice swedge, which I think looks really nice. In terms of belly and flat area, I'm going to go ahead and call those two pretty equal. So as far as like the cutting profile on both of these, I think they're pretty darn similar. Now, you can get both of these knives in many different steels, so I can't really compare the steels S45VN to S90V. But yeah, so what I'll say about the blade, there's not much difference other than the overall like aesthetic shape. But it's the Para 3 is going to have a slightly longer cutting edge, and otherwise their profiles are pretty much the same. Alright, so let's go on to the handles now. So the handle lengths are pretty similar, with the Para 3 being slightly longer. Again, I'm not going to talk about handle material as much as handle shape, because you can get this one in G10 and you can get this one in FRN. So, if you prefer one or the other, you have both in both of these platforms, which is really nice. The big thing is the shape, though. So you have a slightly different handle shape here. So with the Para 3, you get a nice finger groove here, and your other fingers fit, mine do at least, pretty comfortably on the handle, and it holds really comfortably here. I can also choke up. This to me is less comfortable. So my hand wants to go here. Whereas on the Native, I can put my hand here, but my pinky is just half on there. It's almost floating. But if I choke up, this actually ends up being a more comfortable way to hold this knife in particular. So I think this knife is better suited to a nice fine choking up. I mean, I can also hold it here, and it's no big deal, but I don't reach the jimping quite as well. So to me, this is a little bit better. Oh, and in that position, the Para 3 has slightly better thumb ramp, whereas the Native is flat. So that's kind of a handle and blade situation. But anyways, there's that. Now, in terms of carrying size on the handles, they're pretty similar in the width. Your Native is going to carry a little thinner because the blade doesn't pop out as far. But in terms of the handles, they're pretty much the same. And the thickness is almost exactly the same as well. So overall, pretty comparable, although the way you hold the two is going to be slightly different. Let's see, next, I guess we can talk about the clips. So on the lightweight version of the Native, you get this clip that's not great. It's pretty shallow carry. This MXG gear deep carry clip came on this knife when I bought it. which is great because I would have bought one anyways. And then this clip on the Para 3 I also bought because, as many of you know, you just cannot leave the stock clip on there. So I guess that's a similarity between both of these, is that you might want to get a deep carry aftermarket clip. So that's all I'll say about that. Pretty substantial difference now is the locking mechanism. And this is true for both versions of both of these knives. The Para 3 is going to always have a compression lock, which means, in case you're not familiar, you open the knife, there's nothing in the front, and you go on the back, on the spine, and you can just pinch the lock here. It's basically like a reverse liner lock, and you can close the blade without anything in the blade path, any fingers in the blade path. I really like that. And now, on the Native, you have a back lock. So in order to close it, you kind of do have to put your finger in the blade path, and I just squeeze my thumb down. The nice thing about this guy is that it's got this really nice finger choil, so I'm not really in the blade path. It's going to hit my finger on the finger choil, not going to cut me, and then I can close it with one hand. So that's nice, although the closing is a little bit, you got 2 steps for this guy, whereas on the Para 3, boom, 1 step. So that's cool. But yeah, there's a pretty big difference between those 2 locks. Also with the lock, you have the question of action. So this guy, the Para 3, is going to be a little bit more fidgety because you can just do this all day long. And it opens a little bit easier because there's not any pressure on the blade like there is with the lock bar that we're going to get to. So I can flick this now. I've had this for a couple weeks. When I first got it, I could not. And I have to put substantially more force on it when I flick it. Because you have this lock bar spring pushing down on it. And this one is pretty stiff compared to like my Endura. So you can see it takes a little bit more effort. It's doable, but you got to really get your finger in there and you got to really flick it hard. So the action on this is a little stiffer because of that lock bar, whereas the action on the Para 3 is considerably smoother. I don't have to put nearly as much effort into it. Both extremely flickable, very fidgetable knives. I love flicking both of them. This one's just a lot easier. This one maybe feels a little more satisfying when you actually get it. Opens with a nice thwack, so that's cool. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about? And the same thing for both of these, as a lot of Spyderco knives, is there's many variations of both. And a lot of them are actually similar. So like, you can get they do sprint runs with like Rex 45 and Burnt Orange in the Para 3. They did the same thing with the Native. Let's see, I think a lot of exclusives like St. Nick's Knives has that dark red with 4V. They have that for both of these. You can get the S110 version of both of these. That's one of the great things about Spyderco is they do so many different variants. So there's that. I'm still waiting for them to do a teal S90V lightweight of the Para 3, which would be, that'll be great. Instant buy. We'll see if that ever happens. But that's just something more on Spyderco. But you can get both of these knives in many different variations, which is really cool. The next notable difference is the price between these two. So I think the base models, these are going to be closer to 100, where these hover more around 150. This exact one, I think brand new, is 122. This one, brand new, I think is 150 range, 160 maybe. So you're going to have a little bit of a price increase with the Para 3. Although the Para 3 lightweight is around $100. But that is, again, that's CTS BD1N steel, whereas the base version of this one is S30V, which is arguably a little bit better. So, yeah, I think this one's usually going to run you a little bit less expensive than the Para 3, but again, it depends on the exact model that you get. So if you're getting a Maximet, Native, and you're getting an a BD1N Para 3, I think your Maximet's going to run you more because it's a more expensive steel. I don't know. It depends on the exact model, but typically, like I said, this one's going to run more expensive. So yeah, that's kind of all the points that I have to compare on these two. Two really cool Spyderco knives, similar kind of small 3-inch blade, relatively compact, on the smaller side, especially comparing to like a PM2. Pretty good action on both of these, with the Para 3 getting that one by a hair because the lock bar makes this one harder to open. Handles are pretty sizable, or pretty comparable sizes. Clips, I kind of don't like the stock clips on either of these, so I would get deep carry clips. Yeah, I mean, that's all I can say about these. Now I'm going to bring in one quick surprise comparison with the lightweight, another very lightweight knife from a different company, the Bug Out. And I think this has been done before, but it's worth mentioning. I think the Bug Out is a little bit longer and slimmer, but this is a similar idea. Two lightweight knives, FRN. They're actually pretty similar length. This is my custom Bug Out. But I think cross-company comparison, this is a pretty good one. Although the Native is a little bit heavier because your FRN is a little bit thicker than on the Bug Out, and your backlock, you got a little bit more metal on there. So it ends up being a little heavier, but they're pretty similar in weight. And your Bug Out's definitely longer. You know, you're looking at about a 3.25 inch blade instead of just a 3 inch. So that makes a difference. And of course you got your axis lock, incredibly smooth. But I think that's just a useful comparison too. Let me know if you want to see a full video on that, and I can go through all the individual specifics, but I think that's pretty played out, because it is in fact a good comparison. So anyways, that's all for this video. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. As always, please like, subscribe, comment anything you have to say below, and I'll be sure to respond. So hope you guys are doing well, and thanks again for tuning in. All right, have a good one.